Yeah, I had a pretty bad misfire on my Triton V10 here. When I took all the coilover plugs off and looked down, and the number 7 and the number 10 spark plug wells, apparently it had quite a bit of water inside of them. So what I did is I took all the coils off, I cleaned them all up, used an air compressor and sprayed out all the spark plug wells, and tested all the coil and plugs, and I'll put part of what I did in the video here to explain why I even bothered making this video. But hopefully this will help somebody else out. But anyway, I put all new coil on I ended up putting all new coil on packs on all the plugs and everything. The truck runs really good now. Yes, this truck works really hard every day. It's got 137,000 miles on it. And right now it's running like it was brand new, so. It was misfiring, particularly when I wasn't throwing any codes. I put a code reader on it, wasn't running any codes at all, so it was kind of puzzling what was going on. But it would idle pretty good, kind of a little bit of a miss, and then when you really got on the accelerator, the mist would go away. But when it dropped down into 5th gear, it would really start sputtering and running really rough and almost shaking. Pretty bad, you know. If anybody's experienced that kind of a symptom or anything, maybe this will help. Yeah, I had a really frustrating misfire on my Triton V10. And I went through and, to make a long story short, I replaced all the coils. Excuse me. I replaced all the coils, and I fixed the problem. But before I replaced all the coils, I went through and tested every single coil. You know, with set the multimeter to ohms and test the resistance. I tested the resistance on every single coil. Every single coil came out to 0.7, 0.8 resistance on the coil windings. And then on every single coil it came out, and this particular coil right here was the bad one. I had cleaned it up some, but the rust color was all the way up to where the boot meets the spark plug well. The rust colored water. So I knew when I pulled this one out that this one was in water. But it was interesting, I took it out and I cleaned it all up, and when I tested it with a multimeter, tested out to 0.7 ohms, 0.9, 0.8, but within the range it should be. And then I also tested all the coils from the spark side, and on every single coil, all 10 coils, all came out to 5.2, every single coil. And I was really kind of just confused about what's wrong with these coils, and if they're all testing the way they show you to test them and everything. I was figuring, well, something must be wrong on the inside. I took all these boots off. And looked at all I tested the continuity on every single. Anyway, I took the boots off, and I was looking at these springs. Take them out, look at them. I looked down, and you know, most of them looked really good. You know, the spring, there wasn't any corrosion or rust or anything on most of them. And then I took this one out. This is the one that had the rust pretty badly rusted. It was rusted again all the way up to where the boot seats down on the spark plug well. And I took this one out. I don't know whether you can notice it or not, but totally corroded with a lot of corrosion. But again, I actually wouldn't have taken them apart and looked at them like this normally. I mean, if it was testing out with the ohm meter, you know, I would have figured, well, I guess it's okay. But like I say, I went ahead and replaced all the coils, and the truck was running really good. But then after an afterthought, I wanted to know why one of these coils was failing, and yeah, pretty corroded there, you know, particularly way down inside there where it makes contact. So, you know, testing them out with a. I just hope this helps maybe help somebody else out. You know, testing the coil on plugs with an ohm meter is great, but they all tested really good. It was I took a harder look at this particular coil. It was totally submersed in water, and even though it tested fine, it tested just like the other coils until I took it apart and looked at it, and it was very corroded. You know, which is something you don't see a lot on YouTube videos. Nobody tells you can take these. At least I'd never found one. You can take the spring out and look at it. It was terribly corroded. You know, just 43 in case anybody like me, maybe you didn't know that. Maybe help somebody else out. It really isn't a big deal because these coils, they're the original Motorcraft coils, and the truck has 130,000 miles on it now. So, you know, to replace the coils wasn't probably needed to be done anyway. But it's just kind of interesting the way, you know, looking at these coils and taking them apart and doing a little research into them.